welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. What's up, internet world? In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to sew the face together, how to create eyes, how to add color to your patches, how to create outlines, and everything you need to know. So please stay tuned and watch all the way through. If you guys are new here and you don't know that this is a series, this is the second part to my 3-part patch series. In the first video, I showed you guys how to make the patterns, how to cut out all your fabric and everything. And this video is just going to be the sewing aspect, as well as my third video, I will just be sewing. So if you guys are lost or confused or anything at all, watch my first video and I'll show you guys how to make the pattern pieces and get these patches ready to sew. Reminder, I'm going to start sketching on my outline, taking references back from my sketch. So first I'm going to sew on the white material and then I can start cutting and pinning on my black material. So here's how that quick stitching turned out. For now, I'm just worried about getting everything in its place. I'm just going around and trimming the pupil until I can get the size that I'm happy with. Now I'm going to cut out my little white dash. And to stitch this on, I'm doing a straight stitch. Moving on to the 2 eyelashes, I'm just going to draw and cut them out on the extra fabric. You want to leave about that much room, close them off with a straight stitch around the edge, and then we can stitch them onto our eyeball. Because these lashes are so tiny, I'm putting some canvas underneath. So once your 2 eyelashes are stitched together, you can cut out this canvas. And I strongly recommend putting canvas underneath or at least another sturdy material. I'm going to pin these bad boys to the back here. Using the same white stitching from earlier, follow right over this outline. So now that I have my eyelashes on, as well as my pupil and my background, everything is in place, so I'm able to move on to the outline. I'm using white stitching again, except for when I do the outline of the eyelashes and the pupil. Of course, that will be black stitching. I like to use stitching number 26 here. It's kind of like a double cross stitching. It's a tight zigzag with 2 straight lines. Use that stitching and outline all around the eye. And then I can take my black stitching. However, I'm going to use a tighter zigzag, so it's going to be zigzag number 3. I went ahead and drew on the little dash right there, so I'm going to outline that dash in white as well as the edge in white, around this eyeball in white. Then I'm going to go over again in black. This is how it looks when the white outline is all finished. You can see the thickness of it, and it's all set up for us to add on our black. just want to keep going over your stitching until you're happy with your border. And you guys can notice that I didn't do my eyelashes yet, and that's because I'm waiting until I put my patch onto my garment. For the most part, the outline is finished, and now I can move on to coloring the inside of my eye. Use a mix of purple, green, and blue. I'm going to use the zigzag stitch number 3, number 4, and I'm just going to really layer over the different colors of stitching. I'm going to start off with the darkest color at the bottom, so with the blue, fill it in with zigzag stitch number 3 on the purple and the green. Here is how my colored eyes turned out. You guys saw that I started with the blue zigzag crossing all over each other, and then I did 5 purple stripes. In between, I filled it in with the green. I strongly recommend, if you guys want to figure out what pattern you want to use, that you practice on some other material. However, in my case, I just decided to wing it, and it ended up in this really trippy pattern. With all the eyes done and ready to be sewn onto the garment, I can move on to the rest of my face, which includes the nose, the mouth, and my 2 drops. The first step I'm going to take is sewing both of the materials together. As before, I'm going to do a straight stitch all around the edge here. I do have to draw the outline onto this material so that way I know where to stitch at. Here are the outlines that I drew. I decided that I want to do the outline right after I do the straight stitch. I'm going to be using a regular zigzag stitch around the edge. On my machine, this is number 4. Using that stitching again to just lock in the edge and start creating my outline. You want to do the same thing for this one and that one. All my pieces are sewn together now, and I just have a few more steps left before I start placing them onto my garment. You guys saw that as I was sewing these pieces together, I started creating my outline. So I did go over the stitching multiple times in order to get a thick border, and I had to add some canvas underneath some of these pieces because they are small. And now I'm going to cut this canvas out. With the canvas cut out, I have one more set of stitching to do, and then I can place these onto my garment. So I just have to add little black stitching on the mouth to create that detail. Alright, so I added on that little black stitching, and now we can start pinning everything onto our garment. The garment I'm using is this skirt that I made in my last video. First, I just want to lay down all my pieces and get an idea of where everything will go. So now I'm going to pin on my pieces. I'm going to be doing the drops last because I still have to finish up the outline on the eyes and the mouth. I'm going to start with adding on the eyes. So I have to finish the outline of the eyelashes, and then I'm going to add another outline around the eyeball. So basically, I'm just going to do a straight stitch on the outside of the white stitching right here. And then I might do a zigzag to attach the edge down. Just a little straight stitch. I'm going to go over the pink stitching I made. And then for the red, I'm going to be using red and black stitching. On the inside of the red outline I started to create, I'm going to do a black straight stitch. And then to attach the edge on, I'm just going to use a red zigzag. This is how my eyes turned out. Because I did it on the pocket, I did have to sew some of it on the inside of the pocket, which I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely tricky to do. I had to keep pulling the material and going on the inside and pulling the pocket. For the lashes, I did add another layer of canvas and I started creating my border. I did sew this onto the garment all the way through. I didn't do the inside of the pocket for the eyelashes. I feel like it kind of makes the eyeballs pop out more and have a little bit of dimension and perspective. So the nose is next, and I am going to sew the nose on the inside of the pocket right underneath where I sewed the eyes at. So this is how my nose and my mouth turned out. I'm gonna be quite honest, the nose was very difficult. As I mentioned, I did want to sew it on the inside of the pocket. So I really had to fold these two eye patches in, and then I had to push down, make sure I pull the bottom of the pocket out so that way I don't end up accidentally sewing this. So I had to push it out like that. And then I had to get my foot over that part, get my foot into this part. I had to stand up while sewing for the most of this nose, but luckily I was able to get it. And I just did the mouth on the material of the skirt, nothing fancy with the pocket here because I feel like I wouldn't be able to reach. But yeah, that's the nose and the mouth, and it's time for my last step, which is the drops. Same as before, I'm doing a straight stitch on top of this stitching, and then I'm going to do a zigzag on the end.
Stunning.
This one turned out a little bit crooked, but it's okay. It gives her character. Alright guys, so that's how you sew the face together. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys felt inspired and created something